Okay, and we are live. And welcome back to I Am My Own Story. I am Solid Blue Sister. And I am happy to have Katrina Golden, who is owner, head chef of, make sure I have this right, Lil Mama's Sweets and Treats.
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure. And if you don't follow her on TikTok, you should. I had the opportunity of being in her live today, which was informal, but it was funny. It was fun. Um, it's just just chilling and just watching her bake. Um, it made you want to get there in the kitchen with her. So without further ado, here is
Thank
Katrina
you.
Golden. So
Thank
thank you for
you.
coming.
Hello. Thank you for having me. And today's live was so funny. And I had to tell my friends, I'm like, yeah, we got company. Y'all gotta act like you got some home training. They don't. They
Well,
just
you know
don't.
what? We all have friends like that, and sometimes we are that friend. Sometimes we are the ones that cut up. We
Facts.
are the ones that, yeah. So don't even
Facts.
don't even worry about it. So, but I had a chance to thoroughly go through your website, and first of
Oh,
all,
thank you.
all of the food or the sweets that you have, very, 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 very tempting. But I want to ask, how did you come up with the name?
Well, I've always been the shortest in the group, whatever friend group I'm in. I've always been the shortest and usually the youngest, but I act like somebody's mama. I mean, it just kind of falls on me that way. Even to the point where I was at work when I was working full time. Who had the snack drawer, had the drawer with the aspirin, the band-aids, the feminine products, all that good stuff. My coworkers knew that they could come to me because I was the mama.
Okay,
So they whatever they needed, I probably had it in my office. So
okay.
they knew that they could come to me and get it. So I've always been, tagged the mama. So Lil Mama kind of just fell. It, just kind of fell right in line and that's how we came with the name.
Okay, so now with the name, you have the logo. So how did you get the logo?
Well, the logo was drawn by my nephew, my husband's nephew, Chris Golden. I told him because he's an artist, even though he doesn't operate in that gift right now. He is an artist, and I told him, I said, TT, because they call me TT. I said, TT needs a logo, and he said, okay, talk to me. So I told him, I said, I want it to be kind of fun, kind of funky. This is not my wheelhouse, so I'm gonna let you have total artistic control over what you think, would be a good fit for my business. And that's how he came up with the cake lady.
Okay,
So as you see, her head is a bunt cake. Her head is, and it took me. We had this logo. It's so funny. We had this logo for a couple of years because we've been in business for 4 years now, and I think it was about well into year two. I happened to actually pay attention to the logo. I said, "Oh, she's holding in her hand is our first logo that we pulled off of WordPress or something, and then on her apron has the LH, which is or LM for Little Mama." And I
hmm,
said, I paid attention to that detail. He just looked at me like, really? Really? I did all this work and you didn't even pay attention. I said, I just liked it. So,
okay, all right. So in terms of the menu, because on your website you said that your husband is your co-owner. Does he bake at all?
mhm,
So do you
no,
guys?
not at all.
So does he come? So does he help you come up with the menu, or you do the menu on your own, or how do you get the menu what you're going to serve?
He helps. We'll sit. Myself and a couple of members of my staff will sit because I have one of my staff members have been with me since the beginning, pretty much since the beginning. When I first hired a person, she was the first person I hired. So we'll sit and we'll just sometimes brainstorm. What do we do? Oftentimes it's because we have extra cake and
Mm-hmm.
we're not quite sure what to do with it. And we'll say, what if we do this with it? Or what if we do that with it? For example, we had a lot of vanilla cake left, but not enough chocolate to make a whole cake, like not enough vanilla to make a whole cake and not enough chocolate to make a whole cake. He says, put them together, put some, slap some chocolate frosting on it and call it split decision. I'm like, that's a good idea. We did it. It's one of our best sellers. It's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow. Okay, so split decision. That's a good name. I like that.
That's for those that can't make a decision between they want a vanilla cake with chocolate icing or a chocolate cake with chocolate icing. They can have both.
So, do you cater at all? Like, or
We do dessert tables. We've done weddings. We've done a couple of birthday parties. So we do dessert tables. We don't. I don't cook and do. Now I can cook. Don't get it twisted. But I don't cook for others other than my family.
okay, so do you have? Because I was looking at some of the photos, I couldn't tell. Do you actually have a storefront?
Yes, we
Okay,
have a storefront in the Columbiana Mall, Columbiana Center in Columbia, South Carolina, and our commercial kitchen where we bake while all the magic happens is in Augusta.
okay, all right. So it just seems like, and this is what I want to ask, because I always ask people this. It seems like you're having fun.
I am.
I mean, it seems like that you're having fun. So, are you one of those people who will turn on the radio or something and jam to Motown while you're cooking, and you know dance around the kitchen and
Yes. Baking for me does spiritually. So in my kitchen here, I would sometimes
okay, Katrina, hold on, because you are really really breaking up. You're really breaking up. Um, as a Black business owner, do you ever think about, like, do you ever think about selling your business? Like, once it gets to be a certain point, if someone wanted to buy it, would you sell it, or do you see your business as generational wealth for your family?
both. Um, we have kicked around the idea of franchising and also kicked around the idea of passing it on to another family member, maybe to my niece who's baking with me now, maybe to her daughter who loves to bake. Um, but we'd rather it stay in the family. Now, if Nabisco wanted to buy me out, and they offered the right price, i.e., lottery money, then I would probably sell.
Okay, the reason why I ask, because I have this conversation a lot with various people, because I have my own business. It is skincare. It's a
Hmm.
recipe that my mother created when my sister and I were little. Everyone else had a jar of Jergens. We were getting our lotion out of a mayonnaise jar. Here we just get a free jar of Jergens now. Whatever. But now,
Right.
years later, when my mother always said, "Take care of your skin, take care of your skin, take care of your skin," and I look around, and I went to school with the people who did soft sheen.
Hmm.
And I went to, I went to school with various people, and it's like, we don't have generational wealth. We would rather sell out as opposed to passing it on to our children. So is there, I mean, is that, I mean, so is it just the money that you're looking at, or is it the fact that, to actually have something that could be, when you're gone, 60, 70 years from now, uh, people will still be going in to your shop, to your store, to your name.
Right. We prefer, now we talked about this, at length with our kids. We would prefer that it stays in the family. We want to pass it down to somebody, with the last name Golden. So if it were able to be kept in the family, that would be amaze balls. After I'm gone, like I said, if one of these big bakery companies decides to offer, and we're talking lottery money, it's got to be
Mhm.
lottery money, like
Right.
Mega Millions lottery money,
Mhm.
before either one of my kids will even think about selling.
Mhm.
Um, like the last Powerball
Mhm.
lottery money, something where it would set them up and set their children and their children's up. That kind of money. It wouldn't be
Okay.
just, okay, we're going to hand you $300,000 for the name. I've
Okay.
been offered, people have offered to buy my business, and I'm like,
Okay.
nah. You can invest. I'll gladly take your money to invest, but we're not selling.
Okay. Okay. And then, you said you've been in business for 4 years, for four
Hmm.
years, and I also read on your website, which was so
Oh
funny.
Lord.
I started laughing. Katrina, how do you burn something with an easy bake oven? How do you burn something on a light bulb? Because, and I'm assuming you're talking about the original easy bake oven, the first ones, the good ones, where the food was very good with that light bulb that my father used to always eat. We used to always cry, But how do you burn seriously with a light bulb?
I don't know, but I figured it out. If you remember, and I know I'm probably dating myself a little bit because I did have one of the original easy bake ovens, with the
Mhm,
light bulb that,
mhm.
you kept it in there for, and you set the timer.
Right.
But it didn't have like the new ones now. I think they're on a conveyor belt. I haven't had ones in years, so I don't know. But, you basically, it's impossible to burn anything in an easy bake oven now. However, then you would slide it in a little pizza, like a little mini pizza thing. You slide it in, and I was about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old, and probably went off to play with my dolls or something like that. Do stuff that little kids do, and you forget that you have something sitting here on a light bulb. Came back, and there was a little bit of smoke coming out of it. I pulled it out, and handed it, say, "Look, Daddy," he's like, "Oh, okay, okay, we have baked, okay." So
So,
yeah, I did burn my first cake in an easy bake oven though. Yeah.
so at that time, were you thinking about baking? Because I also read where you were always with your mom and your grandmother, baking. Did you want to bake then, or was it just a toy at that point? It
It
was
was
just
just a toy. For me, it was just a toy. I always wanted to cook, and I liked to create.
okay.
I'm a creative, so I like to create, and I liked creating something with my hands, and in the kitchen, watching my aunt, who was the baker really of the family, and then watching my mom, in the kitchen. I was always in the kitchen with her because she says, "You're going to learn how to cook, child, okay, and you're going to learn how to do this, the way I learned how to do it." And basically passing down tradition. Of course, you don't know it when you're young that that's what they're
Mhm.
doing.
Right.
um so I found out that I liked it. I really really liked it. So then they started letting me bake for the family, and I'm like, "Y'all crazy."
So what?
Trust
So
me.
did you have brothers and sisters who also like to bake, or it was just you? Okay.
Just me. Just
Okay.
me.
Okay. So why baking as opposed to cooking the macaroni and cheese and whatever? Why
I
bake?
It's different. It's
Well,
different.
it is. It is.
There's a science to it. It allows you to be, I mean, even, making regular food, you can be creative. But for me, there's an infinite of possibilities with flour, sugar, butter, and eggs. Okay, there's infinite possibilities. You can add anything. You could take a basic recipe, cake recipe, and add anything, and it's something different. You can add a different frosting, and it's something different. You can take away something, and it's definitely something different. You could add, change out some ingredients, maybe use a different flour, a different type of butter, and it's something totally different. So just to be able to get in there and create is, what does it for me.
Okay, but like you said, it's a science, and it would be something different to the point where, to me, again, I can't bake words crap, and to me, it's like if you're because baking is such a science. It's not like you're making stew and you can throw this seasoning in or this seasoning. To me, it's like if you do change out that butter or that flour, won't it rise differently, or won't it the consistency?
Sometimes, and that's the beauty of it, because unless you're doing it a lot, like I can make a pound cake now with my eyes closed. But unless you're doing it enough, you never know how it's going to come out. When you make a stew or you make a steak, you pretty much know you cook it for this long, you do it for this long, it's going to taste like this.
Right.
With baking, that's never the case. You never know what's going to come out. So, you're trying something. We're, trying something new all the time. Let's try this recipe. Let's try this recipe. Okay, if we do this to this recipe, what will happen? Well, I don't know. Let's try it. And next thing we know, we've come up with a new something new that we're going to offer to our customers.
Now, one thing that I did notice that you don't have on your recipe, pie.
Actually, I do. I do. It's on the website. Sweet potato pie is on the website. And peach cobbler may not be, but we do make peach and apple cobbler too.
Okay. All right. Okay, because like I said, I'm not really a cakey person, but I love pie. And Katrina, I can honestly say that my mom was the best apple pie person as far as I'm concerned in the entire world. I'm not a peach person. She made a lot of peach, whatever. I never ate it. I don't like peach cobbler. But please direct me to your apple because I will order apple pie from you because I have not had a good apple pie in years.
All you have to do is just inbox me. If you don't see it on the website, which you probably won't, some things are just for our retail location. Some parts of our menu we have strictly for our retail location so that people can come in and they can say, hey, I want this, that, and the third. But if you want to order it, you can just inbox me and I'll send you an invoice for it.
Okay. All right. Because again, I love apple. Now I've gone to, what is it? Marie Callender's or whatever.
Oh, you're in California. That's right. Yes, Marie Callender's.
I go to Marie Callender's. I get their pie. Okay. I mean, I have not had a good apple pie. And people have like, oh, here, taste this apple pie. I'm like, so I'm just looking
I get it. Thanksgiving, I made desserts, but I didn't make an apple pie, apple cobbler, whatever. But I bought one because I was just tired. We had, orders going out for Thanksgiving, and I was cooking because people were coming to the house. So, I was doing the main parts of the meal for Thanksgiving. So I bought a pie. That pie is still in the freezer.
See?
They would not eat it.
They would not eat
They
it.
said they did want to. My family said, "You didn't make that? No, we good. We good."
All right.
They wouldn't eat it. I'm like, come on, y'all. It's from Kroger. It's good. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
My podcast this afternoon was about success and failure. In your terms, how did you know that you were a success? How did you know that your bakery was a success? And did you ever start, fail, then you finally got it right?
We started several businesses. This is not our first. This is the one that we stuck with because we found that consistency breeds success. But we also knew that we had a good product. I have a couple of good girlfriends that, actually about three, that when I would do my stress baking, I would, put it on Facebook and say, okay, this is the menu for today. Going through a little something. I need to work it out in my head, and this is how we're going to get it out. So I wouldn't, some people run, some people exercise. I bake. Okay. So they would tell me, they would say, okay, Katrina, no problem. We'll be by to get, XYZ. Because I would usually have a list of about 5 or 6 things, and I would bake all day. I'd start in the morning and bake till the evening. They told me, they said, you really need to sell this. I'm like, do you know how many bakers there are in Augusta? I am not selling my stuff. There's all these other home bakers. I'm not doing this. And they said, okay. And one of my girlfriends put it out there. She says, you guys got to really try this stuff, and took it to her friends. Some of what she had taken from my house to her friends. They're like, can we buy this? Can we buy this? And I'm looking at her like, will you quit telling people I bake? I got a job. I'm only doing this. I don't have time for this. So when I retired from the government is when we said, okay, I said, Scarlett, check this. We're going to take the plunge. We're going to do it. She says, yes, finally, yes. And the rest is history because we have a tribe that like what we bake in 2 states now. So we kind of figured out, I guess, to answer your question, we kind of figured out we were a success maybe by the end of year 3. That maybe, just maybe, we're onto something.
Okay, you say by the end of year 3, you've been in business for 4 years. Why do you think that you weren't that successful in 1 and 2?
We were still growing, still learning, still adding recipes to the menu.
People were still buying, right? People still.
Yes, they were still buying.
So when you consider it a success then, even though you were going through your growing pains, that people still wanted?
Somebody else might have considered me a success, but I suffer from imposter syndrome. So I didn't see me as a success until maybe year 2, year 3. When it was like, okay, we're really doing this. People are depending on me for a paycheck. Maybe we're doing something.
Well, what about the people are around you, your family? Were they saying, Katrina, this is really good. Mom, this is really good. Honey,
They
this is
always tell me my stuff is good. I don't trust them.
yeah, but at the same time though, do they ever tell you, this may not work?
Oh yeah, they're good
Right.
at telling me
Right.
what doesn't taste good.
Right. So were they telling you more that people really like this more so than people don't? So that's why I'm saying you were a success in 1 and 2, but you just didn't think you were. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So
For me, I had to um see the success when more people come, and we have regulars that would come. For example, we were out at there's an open air market from March to November here in Augusta called the Augusta Market. And when people would come every week, they said, we're only coming to the market to get something from you. When I would hear that over and over and over again, then I'm like, okay, maybe we're doing something. Just, okay, we might have a good product here. It wasn't just like from one person, it was from several. We'll come to the market and we're going to get, maybe some fruits and vegetables, or maybe go look, because it's a nice place to go just hang out and, look at the arts and crafts and stuff. But we're really just here to get something from you. I'm like, okay, thank you.
okay.
Appreciate it.
So how much has TikTok played in your success?
I just got on TikTok around mid last year. So it's helped a lot. Recently, it's helped a lot. Being able to go live and expose other people to me and my tribe shenanigans sometimes, because we started in my kitchen before we got the commercial. We started in my home kitchen before we got the commercial kitchen finished. And we would talk and chat and talk about anything, anything that comes to mind. Somebody would have a question. It might be about business, it might be about baking. It would just kind of like being in your mama's kitchen. What are we talking about today? What can we, what, and sometimes I would have other people come and say, what, shout out your business, tell me what you're doing. you know, Tell me what you're doing. Tell the people. I might have 10 people online, but tell the people what you're doing, because you never know who's looking. You never know who's watching. And
Right.
they might just, they might need your services.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't, maybe they're just on here because they like to see me do what I do, and, it might help them pass the day, but they might need what you got going on. So, every once in a while I would do that. It was always, we would try different things on live. Sometimes it was an epic failure, and sometimes most of the times it was good. If it was bad, I would tell myself, okay, yeah, well, I tried that recipe, y'all. Don't do it.
Okay. All right.
Don't do it. But we would, there were different things that I would try. So I like TikTok, in fact, that I can do, have the opportunity to enter into other people's lives, if you will. They come and check out, what I got going on once a week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, depending on how busy I am. And, like I said, we'll just talk about anything. Sometimes it's, exactly, what are you baking today? I want to bake that. How do I make that? And, they're asking questions about, well, what about if you use this flour versus that flour? I would have trivia questions, give me the difference between, self-rising and all purpose,
Mhm.
and why do we use it? Giving a little bit of education. Sometimes it's the history of a recipe.
Okay.
What makes a German chocolate cake a German chocolate cake? And it's not because of German. So, I mean, I like TikTok for that.
Okay. All right. So do you see yourself down the road teaching how to bake?
Yes. Yes, I've done that. We've
Okay.
had a couple of women's groups come in, do a sip and bake, where they bring the sip and then they bake. And they come back. In fact, I've had one of the ladies, her husband saw us at a food truck Friday event, and he says, I want whatever that my wife baked at your house, because that was really good, and I know you probably have it. And I did. I was like, oh, okay, I appreciate that, thank you. I said, she can bake it herself. He says, no, yeah, that's fine, but I can get it right here right now.
So do you have or do you see yourself going to YouTube and being one of those people who are like, okay, so today we're going to do this and da, 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 da. Okay.
That's the plan. We have a channel, KCAT Nation. We have a channel, and we're going to start putting our podcast up on there too.
What is called K?
Cakehead Nation.
Oh, Cakehead Nation. Okay, I wanted to ask you about Cakehead Nation. Okay, now that's your newsletter.
That's the name of our tribe. Our
Oh,
customers, our repeat customers are called Cakehead Nation because the cakehead, the lady, the
right.
cakehead, um, that's part of it. But if you put it in the mind of, and I hate, you almost kind of hate to say this, but you put it in mind like a crackhead, how they'll do anything to get that high. They'll do anything to get that rock. Our repeat customers will follow us wherever we are to get this cake. So we call them cake heads.
So okay, so you said that you're in two states.
Mhm.
So are your Cakeheads nationwide, or are they
Pretty
predominant?
much. Pretty
Okay,
much. Pretty much. We've got some in California. We got some up the East Coast. I've got a couple in Texas, some in Florida. So pretty much.
okay,
We do ship all 50 states. So pretty much.
okay. So have to ask this because if I could, I can cook. I think I'm a good cook. Am I good
Mhm.
enough to cook where people actually come sit down and buy? I don't know. But one thing that I always wanted, even though I'll never have, at least not in this regard, would you ever, or do you have a food truck?
Yes, we have a coffee and dessert truck trailer.
Okay, all right.
We sure do. We
So
got that right before the pandemic. We got it in 2019. And of course, then the world shut down in 2020. We started our business in September 2019. So then we got a food trailer because they said, we want to travel with this. We're doing it here, but how much more could we make if we, were able to be
mhm,
somewhere else? And then, the world fell off a cliff in 2020. Um, so we didn't really get out with it until 2021, like mid
okay,
2021. And we've been going strong ever since.
good, good. So what is your favorite thing to bake?
Any of the alcohol cakes. I
Wha-
love creating the alcohol cakes
Wow.
because like I said, it's a create thing, and my thing is to make the cake taste like the drink. For example, we have a margarita cake. It tastes like a margarita. We have a pina colada cake. It tastes like a pina colada. So, of course, sometimes we have to do some research
Hmm.
to make sure that we're you know flavoring this properly.
So do you do requests on those type of cakes? Like, can I have a vodka cake? Can I have a
Yeah.
whiskey cake or whatever? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Have you ever turned anyone down because you either didn't know how to make it or you weren't sure or you just didn't want to make something?
We turn down wedding cakes. I don't do wedding cakes. I have a good friend that does amazeballs wedding cakes. So I don't do those. That's not my wheelhouse. That's not my lane. I try to stay in my lane when it comes to creative stuff. My thing is to make the cake taste good. It's not necessarily going to be beautiful, like you
Mhm.
see some of the decorations and the flowers and the gold trim and stuff like that. I'm not into doing that. I just want it to taste good. I want it when you bite into it that you said, yes, this.
Have you ever tried doing a wedding cake?
No, no desire.
Okay. So how many uh, in a week, how many people will call and ask you to do a wedding cake, not knowing you don't do wedding cakes?
We get about one a week.
Okay.
And in the summertime, we'll probably get 6 or 7 a month.
Okay. All right.
And I'll have to say, I don't do wedding cakes. However, if you want a dessert table, I can do that. And if you want a traditional or even not a non-traditional wedding cake, you want it decorated, you want to look like something that came out of, Southern weddings, then let me refer you to my friend who does, that's what he does.
Okay.
And he's very good at it.
Okay. So, Katrina, I'm going to ask you to tell me a story,
Hmm.
and I want you to tell me a story of the worst baking experience you ever had as a business owner, as in Little Mamas. Have you had one like this? Something that
Other
just
than burning my
yeah,
first cake in the easy bake
yes,
oven.
yes,
Okay. All right.
yeah, something that just did not come out right, or you dropped it, somebody
I've
sat
got
on
two.
it, whatever. So,
Um, I've got two. Actually, I got three little stories. The first one was when a cake just I was having a problem with regulating my oven. And I could not get this lemon 7-Up pound cake to come out right to save my life. It just, I don't care how many times I baked it. I don't care how slow I baked it, how fast I baked it. It just would not work. And I had an order for 3 of them. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do. These cakes aren't coming out right. What do I do? Finally, I got like a couple of them to come out right. And, the customer was like, I could take those. We're fine. And I said, never again. So for a while, I just stopped making them. I wasn't making any pound cakes. You couldn't pay me to make a
So
pound cake.
what was it, just those particular cakes, or this is your first time making them?
No, I had been making them forever. It was one of our signature cakes. And I just, for whatever reason, it just was not going to come out. It wouldn't come out the pan. And then if it came out the pan, it was only half done. I'm like, I got nothing. I don't know what's going on. I was so frustrated. My husband said, how about we just not make anymore? We'll take it off the menu for a minute. You calm down, and then kind of like, putting us both in a corner, put the cake over here in the corner, the recipe, and then me over in the other corner. Okay, y'all are going to be all right after a while. We're not going to do this. The second one was with a customer, actually. She was, as a business owner, it's one of the things that you have to deal with every now and again. Hopefully you don't have to deal with it often. But you see on social media about, Karens acting Karenish. But she wasn't, you know, the typical Karen. She she decided that she wanted to be rude to my staff. And that's one thing I don't tolerate. I tell my staff all the time, I said, somebody comes up to you and they're rude, let me know. Let me know immediately, because that's not, I don't pay y'all enough to put up with that. Okay.
Right.
So even if I was paying, $50 an hour, you should not pay it enough to put up with that. That's not, people can be nice. It costs, like I tell everybody at the end of my life, it costs absolutely nothing to be kind.
Mhm.
Find somebody and be nice to them.
Mhm.
But she was rude. And the straw that broke the camel's back is I was on the way to my daughter's college graduation, and I had 2 of my staff members manning our cart at the mall. And she was like, "They're not open yet." The mall it was like 10:30. The mall doesn't even open until 11. And she was, ranting and raving about how come they're not open yet, and why don't you have the cake I ordered, or cake I asked for all the time, like I'm supposed to have this specifically for her.
Mhm.
um and you just need to learn some business, because obviously you don't know how to run a business if you're going to keep changing the times that you're open. The times I posted on my website, first of all, we're open mall hours. If the mall ain't even open yet, just if it's only open for the mall walkers, the stores aren't even open yet, what makes you think I need to be open? you
Right.
know
Right.
but I told her, I said, after that, and she says, and you're not even here. Like, I can't take a day off. Obviously I can't go to my daughter's graduation. Okay. So I told her, I said, you know what, we're obviously not a good fit for you. I suggest that we would Lisa, request that you find someone else to meet your dessert needs, because we're not it. We're not
So,
it.
did you not give her the cakes that you had made her?
She came and asked for the same cakes every time she came. She was one of our regular customers.
Okay.
And she assumed that they were going to have these cakes all the time.
Okay.
We switch up our menu because we can't put the whole menu out every week.
Right.
We've got 40 something cakes on our total menu. There's no way we're going to make 40 cakes every week. So we would switch up certain alcohol cakes, and switch up some of our, if it's wintertime, we're not going to have a strawberry cake. We'll have maybe carrot cake. So she was mad that she couldn't get the cake that she wanted, and she couldn't get, and that we weren't open when she was there. And how dare, I tell her that we're going to be open at a certain time, and, we're not open. And I'm like, that never, okay, we're not a good fit. I'm not going to argue with you. We're not a good fit.
Okay. So now I want you to tell me, what is the most rewarding experience that you've had since you've been open?
Seeing people's faces when they enjoy our baked goods. That
Okay.
does it for me every time, without fail. Sometimes we'll have samples depending on where we are. If we're somewhere, for example, if we're in Atlanta and we hadn't been there in this location before, people may not know about Little Mamas. And I don't assume that everybody, knows about me. So we'll have samples out of, so people can try it before you buy it. You can let me know if you like it
Mhm.
right before. And of course, if you try it, you're going to buy it. That's kind of how it goes. But you may not like certain things. You may want to try certain things before you buy it. And every time you see the eyes roll back in the back of their head, and they're like, yes, this is everything. Give me two of those, one of those, and another one of those, and so that every time.
Okay. All right. So do you ever worry that one day you may wake up and like it's a dream? Like this is not really my life. I'm not really doing what I want to do and
Every day, every day. Yeah, yeah. Like there's times when, for example, when we were invited to do the mayor's master's reception for the master's tournament here in Augusta last year, I was kind of like, "Are you for real? Are you for real? Us? You know, like, okay, hold up. Like, wait a minute. Like, what?" So yeah, every day, when people recognize me or recognize the name, I might have one of my little mama shirts on, and they recognize this. Hey, I've had your stuff. I'm like, okay, thank you. Wait a minute, did you like it? Like, yeah, yeah. They're like, okay, thank you. But yeah, it's that imposter syndrome is real, and I have to fight that every day.
okay. So earlier you were saying that you guys were thinking about doing a a franchise. Would you consider expanding as opposed to doing a franchise, just expanding here, expanding there, but you're still keeping it within the Golden family?
We would. I don't have enough children or family members to do it right. So my kids know how to bake. My youngest can bake almost. My oldest can bake almost as good as me. Almost. Um, he thinks he can bake just as good, but we ain't gonna tell him. Um, he's actually pretty good. He's actually pretty good. And my youngest is getting there too. He's a better cook. He prefers to cook. He likes creating dishes in the kitchen versus baking. Um, so and I just don't have enough family members to keep it in the family like that. If I had maybe a few more kids, a few more, nieces, nephews, or whatever that were interested, then sure. Um, but because we talked about that, what if we want to, expand out to the West Coast or, take something to Florida? I said, I'd have to be down there for a year or two just to get it straight and then teach somebody how to do like I do, how to make them like I do, so that we keep the quality consistent. Yeah, no.
But if you were to franchise, you would have to do the same thing so that they're getting the same product. You would still have to, somebody would still have to teach them how to still cook the way you're cooking it. So isn't it, pretty much?
True. It versus going there, I can bring somebody here.
Okay.
You can learn at headquarters, if you will. And then I'm seeing, then of course, we pop in to make sure that it, doing quality control checks to make sure it tastes like it needs to taste, that you're doing what you need to do, and you're not, taking any unnecessary shortcuts. But that's the thing that, that's the other thing is like, do we really want to do that? We want to be up and down the East Coast, but the expansion part is, something that we have to flesh out a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So do you ever worry that if you were to sell to a Nabisco or whomever that they might change your recipes?
Oh, I know they would. I know they would. Because they're not going to do it there. I mean, that's why I said it would have to be lottery money. I mean, like big lottery money to set everybody up for a very long time. Because there's no way that you can produce like they want you to produce and not commercialize it. It would no longer, I don't think, have that homemade taste. Nobody's hands are in it, if
Mhm.
if I'm making sense.
Mhm.
There's nobody, you know, um, scraping the bowl and tasting it and say, I need to add a little bit more of this, or, I need to put a little bit more of this. Everything's got to be exact, all your measurements, because, there's, you got to keep your food costs at a certain level. So I understand all of that. Nobody's going to say, no big chain is going to say, okay, yeah, we want to do this. How much, vanilla do you need? About this much. That's not a measurement for them. Add a little bit of lemon until, the ancestors say stop. That doesn't compute, for their machines. So yeah, it would definitely change.
Okay. All right. So, is there anything that you would change if you could start all over? Is there anything that you would change or do differently?
Um, I would get financing up front and not try to do it on the back end. I would start with using other people's money versus using mine to get it started. Trying to get the financing on the back end, it has its pros and cons because a lot of banks and financing companies want you to be in business for at least 2 to 3 years to make sure that you're solvent, especially food and beverage, because food and everybody starts something, and the next thing you know, they're no longer in business. Um, but I would definitely make sure that my credit was straight, and I would start with the financing on as soon as I possibly could versus waiting. That's
Okay.
probably the only thing I would change.
Okay, but in terms of the way you're, the people that you've hired, the menu,
Well, of
everything.
course, there's a couple of people I probably wouldn't have hired. There's always there's
Mm.
always a couple of people you would say, yeah, that wasn't a good choice. I wouldn't do that again. But
Is there a particular thing that you look for when people? I mean, it's like if, like for instance, would you hire me knowing that I absolutely cannot bake?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because you could probably sell ice cubes to Eskimos and make them think they're low fat popsicles.
Okay.
But everybody has their strengths. Not everybody is in my kitchen. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? So everybody has their strengths. Like my staff at the mall, their strong suit is being out there with the people. They're engaging with the customers that come past our shop. They're always engaging. Hey, how you doing? Oh, yes, I like that too. Somebody will ask them, "What's your favorite?" And they rattle off five. I'm like, narrow it down to three because they're asking because they can't make a choice. So they're going to choose whatever you say is your favorite, and they're going to try that. So that's their strong point. The people I have in the bakery with me, in the kitchen with me, their strong point is being just as creative as I am, or more so, when it comes to baking. So, yeah, there's a couple of people I probably wouldn't have hired, but you live and you learn. Every employer does that.
You definitely do. You definitely do. So, I'm assuming that you have Christmas parties.
Not for my staff, no, but we do cater some.
Okay, okay, because I that's what I meant. Christmas parties for your staff. Because I guess my question was, do you ever get tired of eating your own food? That's why I was asking. Like, do you ever, like you said that your family didn't want to eat the pie, but are there times that you're like, guys, I don't want to cook. I do want to go over to Miss So and So's bakery or go to
And they
where.
look at me like, and they just look at me like, okay, that's nice. Um, you can have that. I'm not, because I want what's either in the trailer or in the bakery. So you can bring me one of those, or yeah, no.
Do you ever enjoy, like when you said that when people eat your cakes and they roll their eyes back like, oh my god, this is so good? Do you ever do that with other people's food where you bite?
Mhm.
Okay.
With food, not so much bakery stuff. It depends. It's got to be, I'm pretty much a real dessert snob now. I didn't mean to get this way, but I am a snob. I tried somebody's red velvet cake one time, and I was like, this is a box cake. And my husband's like, how can you tell? I said, it's the consistency, it's
So,
the
wait,
taste, it's
so was somebody trying to pass it off as their cake? Now, was this somebody that was a baker or a chef, or they was just somebody who?
no, this was a baker. She was her company was selling at the where we were, I'm not gonna say where we were at the time. And one of my customers came by, she says, this is how we got to make a banana pudding cake, by the way. She says she's got this banana pudding cake, but I think you could probably make it better. So I said, you know what, we'll do one for one. You buy one of hers, bring it to me, I'll taste it, and I'll tell you whether or not we can recreate it, and then you can just get one of mine because I already know what you want. We'll just do a swap. So we did that, and she also brought me one of the red velvets, and I'm like, this is missing this is a box cake. I can't believe this is a box cake. And now she may have used a box and because you can, make a box taste like homemade, but it's still for a real baker, it's still a box. So I was like, my husband says, "You are such a snob." I'm like, so I want it homemade.
So then, can you go to a restaurant, have dinner, order dessert, and not be a snob?
Yeah. Now that's the thing. If I'm going someplace like, I don't know, Marie Callender's, for example, I know what I'm getting.
Okay.
I know what I'm getting. I'm not going to Big Mama Soul Food expecting, a Marie Callender's pie.
Okay, but if you went to say a five-star place, okay,
Mhm.
and and you look at the menu, oh, okay, they have red velvet and they have this and they have that. Are you expecting it to be at your level, or are you just expecting it just to be a regular old box
A
cake?
regular old commercially made cake because I know where I am. The difference is if I'm getting something from somebody who says they're a baker and they have a business, then I expect my expectations are kind of up here.
Okay,
If I'm going to a five-star restaurant and they, where they got all the little squiggles on the plates and all that kind of stuff, then I don't expect that. Now I know it's probably going to taste amazing. I'm probably going to be like, oh my God, this is some really, really good stuff. But I'm not expecting to taste Big Mama's cake or Big Mama's pie. You see
okay,
what I'm saying?
yeah, okay,
So, but I'm still going to say this was made commercially.
okay. So before you leave this earth, where do you see Little Mama's sweets and treats? Where do you see it? Where do you want it to be before you leave this earth?
I would like to see it kind of like Patty's Pies. I would love to see it in grocery stores, um, Target, Walmart, whatever. I would love to see us in a couple of other states where people can enjoy, what we make. It doesn't have to be nationwide. We can just do the Southeast. That would be fine for me. Now, if God has plans of taking me nationwide, then of course, we'll be drag kicking and screaming nationwide. But I will, we'll go where we go, kind of how God leads us. So my vision is to see, Little Mama Sweets and Treats on the dessert section of the bakery in, say, Kroger or Safeway or, things like that. I would be like, yes, we made it, but
So are
yeah,
you creeping up to that level? Like, are you
we're almost ready. We're almost ready for that.
okay? That's good. I mean, I am going to be. I'm going after we get off here. I'm going to look for this apple pie because I'm telling you, I really, really want to taste your apple pie. So I'm just saying. So
Like I said, for apple pie, you're gonna have to inbox me because I don't
okay,
think it's on the website. So just inbox me, tell me you want it, send me your address and your email address, and I'll make sure you get an invoice and we'll send it out to you.
okay, okay. Because even last night, I told my husband that you were going to be on the show, and he goes, "Well, make sure you ask her about the apple pie because I'm tired of you asking." Because my husband is the one that bakes. He's like, "Because I don't do apple pie, whatever. You've been talking about apple pie for years." I'm, so, so yeah. So, well, Katrina, that's all I have. And again, I have to say thank you for saying yes. That you were willing to come on. You are my episode 11.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So Lloyd was my number one. He was episode
Oh,
number one.
wow.
You're episode number 11, so 111.
Right.
So, but thank you so much. And I will make sure that I continue watching your TikToks, and I will be joining your lives. I do have to ask this. First of all, please tell everyone where they can find you.
They can find me on Facebook, Lil Mama SSNT, LilMamaSSNT on all social media. Um, You can find me on the website, Little Mama Sweets, or cakeheadnation.com, or cakeheadnation.com. You can find me on YouTube, Cakehead Nation. So or you can just inbox me, email me, Little Mama Sweet Treats at Gmail. You can find me anywhere.
Okay. All right. Well, again, everyone, thank you very much for joining in and watching and listening. And go to her website, which is Little Mama Sweets.
LittleMamaSweets.com.
LittleMamaSweets.com. I just want to make sure they have that right.
Yeah,
So I'm
LittleMamaSweets.com.
looking at the menu right now, and yeah, you guys are going to gain weight, but what can
That's
I?
above us. We don't care about your waistline. We don't care about your sugar level. We don't care about your high blood pressure or high cholesterol. So enter at your own risk, but you'll like it when you taste it.
Okay, all right. And with that, everyone, we will see you next time. Peace.
Thank you.